Hi and welcome everyone to this week's Rail Europe online training session. My name is Sophia and I'm going to be hosting today's training session. So welcome to all of those who are joining. I see that we have some names met before and new names that I have never met before, so welcome. It's really, really great to have you here today. But just a little friendly reminder for those who are just joining in the session, if you can just kindly put your microphones on mute, just so that there's no audio feedback during the training session, that would be fantastic. At the very end of the training session, we will also have a question and answer component for anyone who asks any questions during the training session. And just a reminder as well that this training session is also being recorded. So if you do wish to re-listen to it or look at it at a later stage, that's completely fine. We'd be more than happy to email the links over to you or show you where to find that information as well. So without further ado, welcome once again to this week's Rail Europe online training session. And today we're actually going to be covering quite a broad topic, which is a general product presentation. So basically what we are going to be looking at today is a background on who we are as Rail Europe, as an organization, particularly because we have a couple of new names joining the training session. Welcome once again. And then also some exciting reasons to travel by train, because traveling by train is a really, really unique form of travel that everyone should experience at least once in their lives. It's a fantastic way to explore Europe against other modes of transport, because it offers such a unique experience. What we'll also be going through today is an overview of all of the European trains, or at least the most popular ones that we do book here at Rail Europe as well. And then furthermore, we'll have a general product overview of the different products that are available through Euronet that you can book for your customers, particularly because we have such a wide-ranging product spread, and I'll be focusing on what you can offer your customers to make their rail vacation or their overall European vacation completely unforgettable, because there are some exciting things that you can offer to them there. And then finally, I'll focus on something quite special too, because although we are Rail Europe, something that we do pride ourselves on is our ability to focus on not just Europe, but also beyond Europe, and the types of trains that we can offer and cater to your customers' agenda from there as well. So we do have access to more trains beyond Europe, such as Japan, and even our fantastic Great Train Journeys product that we'll focus on as well. So we'll begin the session, and like I said at the beginning, if you have any questions during the training session, please feel free to enter your questions in the chat box, and I'd be more than happy to either try and answer them if it's just a quick little inquiry throughout the training session. However, if it does require a little bit more detail, and I'm not answering it at the time, don't fret. I will have a little question and answer session at the very end of the program as well. So hang tight a little bit longer for that one, and we will answer any questions that you have in relation to train travel in general as well. So let's get started. Just a little bit of a background on who we are as a company, and once again, I thank you everyone for joining today to learn about what Rail Europe has to offer, because this is our stage to really show off who we are as a company, and also what we can offer for your customers. So a little background on who we are as Rail Europe SAS is that we are an organization whose shareholders are 50% the French railways, so SNCF and now called WE, I believe, and 50% the Swiss railways system. So we really do pride ourselves on having that European origin. I am calling from Melbourne, so it is an example of how fast spread the Rail Europe organization does spread around the world as well. So Rail Europe's head office is based in Paris, and they have 9 representative offices throughout the world. And that also includes our Melbourne office, just over here. So this is where I'm calling from here today. Hello, everyone. So the 9 representative offices throughout the world do represent the exciting product and features that Rail Europe has to offer as well. And we do have a complete network offering a dense coverage of different products and different areas to travel to by rail. So we're certainly a very global organization, stemming from Europe, and then now spreading around to, North America, and also, South America as well, and then also the Asia Pacific region, some quite exciting, spread across there as well. Oops, I'm sorry, I skipped a slide. So Rail Europe is a worldwide leader in European rail distribution. So we pride ourselves in the promotion and distribution of various rail products in more than 45 countries such as Asia, Australia and New Zealand, Africa and the Middle East, and South America as well. So we are definitely well known around the world for what we do offer and what we're best at too. So the product range that we will go through later on during this session as well is pretty much unmatched. We have such a huge range of products available with over 11,000 different routes. I just realized what I said there within Europe. And in 2016, over 3 million travelers rode the rails with us. So we're certainly well known, very well established, and we do, really love trains genuinely and spread that across to our customers and to you guys today who are joining in to learn a little bit more about what we do and what we can do for you as well. So as the leading worldwide distributor of European rail products, we are pretty much the one-stop shop for planning and booking European train travel and sightseeing products. And from different rail passes and various rail tickets and reservations, we can give you and your customers access to an extensive array of rail products from over 50 different European train companies. So we cater to both travelers and travel agents, from all of the regions that I mentioned above here as well. And the biggest thing that we really want to make sure for everyone is to make discovering Europe by train easy, seamless, and memorable. There are so many different train journeys to be explored out there, but we as the rail experts can give the knowledge and use the systems and facilities and tools to make planning and booking things as easy as possible for you. So so we do have a very unique user-friendly online booking engine to make it very, very easy for travelers to book in their preferred language and currency, with a range of different websites available around the world for different regions available as well. And we also do provide award-winning localized customer care and assistance too. So we offer support before, during, and even after the journey has been completed. So if ever you have any questions about that, please don't hesitate to let us know if we can help you and your customers out as much as possible too. So moving on, let's have a look now at the fun stuff, which is about traveling by train throughout Europe. So something that we do really like to focus on here at Rail Europe are the top reasons to travel by train. Traveling by train, even I can say this from my own personal experience, is probably one of the most exciting things to do once in your lifetime. Whether or not you get to experience it once, twice, or 15 different times, traveling by train is really an unparalleled experience that nothing can ever really match with in the world of travel as well. So let's look at the top reasons to travel by train and how you can convince your customers that booking trains is definitely not a scary thing, but more so a very exciting thing as well. So the biggest benefit for traveling by train is the fact that it is city center to city center. The most convenient thing about rail travel is the ability to travel from city center to city center, and particularly because a lot of European railway stations are located within the city centers, and it makes traveling even more convenient than ever. So just to put it in perspective, for example, if you have a passenger who would like to travel from London to Paris and they're trying to consider whether or not it's better to travel by plane or by train, then these are the kinds of pros and cons that you can recommend to them. Imagine in scenario A, they've decided to fly this journey from London through to Paris. So as soon as they depart from London, they have to make sure that they, travel from London city centre out to London Heathrow, and already that's incurring one taxi fare to get them from the city centre out to Heathrow Airport. Once they get to the airport, they have to make sure that they are checking in at least 2 to 3 hours before they have to depart from their flight. So not only are they losing money, they're also losing time in effect as well. But then when they travel on the plane, they travel from London through to Paris, by flying. Maybe the flight probably takes maybe about an hour long, not very long. But as soon as they arrive into Paris Charles de Gaulle Airport, what then has to happen is that they have to take another taxi fare, collect their luggage, take another taxi, another cost, and then get into the city centre. So even in that one travel experience, by choosing to fly, something that people don't really consider is that although flying takes much quicker to travel on, there are additional things to consider that are going to make your trip a little bit longer and actually a little bit less cost effective. But on the flip side, what if I wanted to do that journey by train? So I'm now considering London through to Paris still, but instead of flying, I'm going to be traveling by train. something really, really exciting about the city centre to city centre feature is that we have the Eurostar train. So the Eurostar will travel from London St Pancras station, which is located in the heart of London, and then arrive into Paris Gare du Nord station, which is also in the heart of Paris as well. So even in that one rail journey, you don't have any taxi fares that will get you from, from the city centre out to anywhere, because you're already leaving from the city centre, and you don't have any additional taxi fares to, on the other side when you do arrive in Paris. So at the end of the day, your customers are simply buying one ticket and also having the most convenient form of travel to get from point A to B. So it eliminates checking in, lining up in queues, a lot of different things that people may not consider when they are, traveling. At the end of the day, we want our travel journey to be as easy and as seamless as possible. So why not offer traveling by train as opposed to flying as well, because it's more affordable and also a lot more convenient and faster as well. Another very exciting thing is that although I just started talking about the city centre to city centre feature, a lot of the train stations within Europe actually have, train stations located within the airports. So for example, if you do want to travel quite extensively throughout Germany, a lot of the train stations have, main train stations within, major cities like Berlin and Munich and Frankfurt, but a lot of those major cities also have an airport train station. So that way, as soon as you're arriving or leaving the country, it's really easy to connect by train from the city centre out to the train station and then potentially to the airport. So extremely easy and well connected to offer to your passengers as well. Another aspect that makes rail travel so much better as well is the fact that it is extremely comfortable. So trains provide comfort with a lot of spacious seating, ample legroom, and even designated areas for luggage. So if you were to fly, for example, you'd have to check in your luggage and you wouldn't really know where it's, you wouldn't be able to, keep an eye on it and keep it safe. Whereas if you were to travel by train, you'd simply bring your luggage on board the train and you'd have full access to it at any time if necessary as well. So it's certainly another option to, recommend to your customers too. When traveling by train, trains are also extremely eco-friendly and are also quite a low-impact form of travel. And high-speed trains are also 3 times more energy efficient than regional trains. So, of course, when you're traveling by train, you can already have the consciousness that you are also traveling on a very sustainable method of transport too. Of course, and this is something that I said at the very beginning, train travel is one of the most unique experiences that you can offer to your customers. High-speed trains are very, very, probably a bucket list thing that everyone must try someday. High-speed trains run at speeds of up to 320 kilometers an hour and are the most convenient way to move around Europe quickly and efficiently. The trains connect basically most cities in Western Europe and extremely well connected in general. You might already know some of the very popular high-speed rail services like the Eurostar, which I mentioned in my little example before, and then also the Thalys, the TGV, or the AVE or ICE trains as well. So those are our, and of course we will look at those a little bit later in our product section, but traveling by train in Europe is certainly something that you will never forget for the rest of your life. The unique aspect of it is that you can enjoy such a huge range of diverse experiences when traveling by train, where you can watch rolling landscapes pass by, stretch your legs as you walk through the train, and also chat with other locals and other travelers, which makes traveling so unique as well. And a really, really good thing too is that train travel has no check-in required, except for Eurostar. This is a very, you might notice here, there's a tiny little phrase here that just says, except Eurostar. So a lot of the trains within Europe, except Eurostar, like I said, is that basically no trains require any check-in prior to travel. Whereas if you're flying on an international service, of course you need to make sure that you're at the airport at least 1 to 2 or even 3 hours before you depart. Whereas when you're traveling by train in Europe, the doors close basically 2 minutes before departure, even on international services. But just to clarify, for the Eurostar service, so basically the international train service that operates between London and Paris, check-in is 10 minutes for business premier travellers, 30 minutes for standard and standard premier passengers as well. So this is because the UK is not in the Schengen zone, so therefore you do have to make sure that you are following the appropriate check-in procedures as well. So, but yeah, certainly it's definitely something very, very convenient because it eliminates having to waste time, you know, in the travel arrangements by not needing to check in at all for other train services other than the Eurostar 2. But of course, when traveling by train, another very exciting feature is that it's super family friendly too. Now more than ever, there are a huge range of tickets available for different ages of travelers. And of course, moreover, there are also more and more carriages available across Europe which offer family-friendly spaces, that's a very difficult phrase to say, such as children's cinemas, play areas, and family rooms as well. So European train travel isn't just for backpackers or isn't just for senior travelers or isn't just for business travelers. It's for all travelers, including families as well. So by having this family-friendly aspect when traveling by train, not only are there family-friendly facilities on board the services, but by having a range of different fares available on the trains, it also offers a very competitive pricing that you can recommend to your customers when you are booking those services too. So another really, really exciting feature about you know, traveling by train is the fact that a lot of these services run all year long. So most of the services don't have any you know, seasonal aspect behind it, except for the Swiss Scenic trains, which I'll focus on a little bit more later on in the session as well. But the fact that they run all year long is a really great benefit to recommend to your customers. Why? Because when trains run all year long, there are different views and scenes that you can enjoy Europe in. So you can enjoy the exciting, Swiss Alps by traveling by train during the winter time, or you can enjoy the beautiful Mediterranean views of, you know, traveling throughout Italy by train in the summertime, or the gorgeous, you know, fall foliage when you are traveling, you know, throughout France in autumn time as well. So regardless of when your passengers are planning to travel, trains run all year long, and there's always going to be something to recommend to your customer to get the best out of Europe and its scenery, and of course its modes of transport as well. So now the next session that we will have a quick look at is an overview of all of the European trains that we do book. Now this is quite a that we do offer. We do have other online training feature, and this is who are just joining and who have never online training sessions before. The European trains that we offer are really just a broad range, but throughout the training season, we usually have dedicated training sessions focusing on a specific area or a specific country. So do come back for other training sessions throughout the year if you want a more in-depth look at trains like the Eurostar and what they feature and what ticketing options there are available for them. But let's have a quick look as an overview of all European trains that we do offer and book for our customers. So we distinguish our European trains by, you know, 4 different categories. So we book a lot of our services as high-speed trains. We also have a lot of Swiss Scenic trains that we can recommend for your customers as well to maximize the viewing and the scenery that people travel far and wide to visit in Europe as well. And then also regional day services and overnight trains too. So let's take a quick look at the European high-speed trains too. So high-speed rail services generally across the board have 2 different classes of service. They have first class available and then also second class available. So what first class offers is generally a larger seat, much more comfort and more legroom, and also complementary services such as meals, Wi-Fi available on board, or a welcome drink. However, these complementary services, just do bear in mind, because we have over 50 different carriers that we do book through, each of the complementary services will vary depending on what train service you are traveling on as well. Second class is certainly the most economical way to travel, and generally what gets included in the fare is a pre-reserved seat, which is a little bit narrower in comparison to first class. But certainly, if you do book it in advance, you can travel on an extremely long international train service for a very, very small fraction of the price. So certainly worth considering that option if you are booking an itinerary for passengers who have that agenda in mind on a budget-friendly level as well. So high-speed trains also do offer, quite ample luggage space, because primarily throughout Europe you do take your luggage on board the service, and also a bar buffet car, a trolley service if you do want to purchase any additional meals on board the train too. And of course lavatories available on the train, particularly because they do have, quite long haul services for optimum comfort for your customers as well. So So let's take a quick look at, complimentary services in first class. And as I mentioned, these do vary depending on what carrier you are traveling with as well. But generally, across the board, first class passengers can enjoy things like newspapers and magazines, which are complimentary, so they can enjoy that while they're traveling. Also, a light meal served to your seat too. I might just zoom in just a tiny bit more to get a better visual on what we're talking about here. So you can also have a meal served at your seat. Screens and video programs available on different trains, even power sockets, because of course we are in the 21st century. We want to be as connected and as recharged as possible during travel. And speaking of connectivity, most of the time first class services will also have Wi-Fi, complimentary Wi-Fi available on board, so you can Instagram and Snapchat and also connect with family and friends who are back at home while you're enjoying your holiday as well. And of course, first class passengers can also have access to business class lounges at most major railway stations. But of course, just check the fare that you're booking for your customers, because not every first class passenger has access to business class lounges as well. And then on some French services, they do also have complimentary taxi bookings, so that once your customers do arrive at their destination, there's already a pre-reserved taxi waiting for them at the railway station. So already, if you're booking, a first-class flight ticket, you wouldn't see any Wi-Fi available on an airplane, or even, access to taxi booking for, first-class passengers on a plane. So you can already see how the complimentary services in first class on a train pretty much outweigh, the services that you can get on a plane as well. So there are some fantastic inclusions you can recommend to your customers too. So looking at, now let's take a quick look at the various different trains that we book, and our most popular trains that we book with Rail Europe here as well. So I mentioned very briefly the Eurostar, which is likely our #1 selling product. I know it is for us here in Melbourne, our #1 selling train that we do get inquiries for and potentially book tickets for as well. So for those who are not familiar with the Eurostar is a purely international train service which operates between the UK, France, and Belgium, and then now, more excitingly as well, the Netherlands too. So the most popular journey that the Eurostar operates is its London to Paris route, which I was talking about earlier in my example. And the fantastic part about the London-Paris or vice versa direction is that the journey only takes about 2 hours and 15 minutes and are super, super frequent, with about 18 daily round trips available. So many, many different routes to choose from and many different times to choose from when you're booking that for your customers. One of the most fantastic and exciting features that the Eurostar have introduced since the beginning of this year is a new route from London through to Amsterdam, which only takes about 3 hours and 45 minutes to operate the direct service. So this direct service, just to give you a bit of a background, it never existed before. I think it was about the 1st of April that the service was introduced, or maybe a little earlier, back in February. Nevertheless, it's only been in 2018 that the direct service has been introduced, and prior to 2018, if you had any passengers who wanted to travel from London through to Amsterdam, you did have to take multiple train services to get there. Now, with the Eurostar offering its direct service, it makes things so much easier and also more cost-effective for ticketing, because you're really only purchasing 1 ticket as opposed to 2 tickets. So with the Eurostar, and we may have another dedicated focused session on this at a later stage in our online training, either toward the end of the year, or again, later on next year when we do repeat our sessions as well. But there are 3 different classes of service that I won't go into too much detail in, but the 3 different classes of service available would be Business Premier, Standard Premier, and Standard Class. The great thing about Eurostar too is that it's bookable 180 days in advance of the train departure date, and of course having basically a 6-month booking horizon gives us the edge to purchase much more competitive price tickets for our customers too. So if you book as far out in advance as possible, you can get some really, really good deals when you're booking through the Eurostar. So let's take a look at the Thalys service. So the Thalys is another completely international service which operates between France and Belgium, and then also the Netherlands and Germany. So just take a look at the routes that it operates, from Paris through to Brussels, or to Amsterdam, or even to Cologne. So 2 different classes of service are available for the Thalys service, in first class and second class. And again, the distinction between first class and second class really is dependent on the size of the seat, as well as the various complementary inclusions included with your fare. Just be sure to check what fare you've booked for your customer, because some types of tickets when booked through the Thales have different inclusions even when you are traveling in the same class of service. So do be sure to check that prior to booking. The booking horizon for Thales services is 90 days in advance of the train departure date, and of course the way that we structure our tickets as well with the Thales services is that there can be some very competitive pricing if you book about 3 months in advance of the train departure date as well. Now let's take a quick look at the TGV service. So the TGV train offers high-speed train services, not just internationally, but also domestically within France. So TGV France, has a range of different, basically connects over 1,400 different cities within France, and then also beyond through to Switzerland, to Spain, and also to the Benelux area, and then through to Germany and even Italy as well. So it's a very well-connected train, both on an international and a domestic level too. Booking horizon for the TGV is about 90 days in advance of the train departure date, so be sure to try and book this in advance to get the best deal for your customers too. Now, I'll take a quick look, I'll quickly focus on the TGV Lyria service, which is an international train that operates between France and Switzerland too. So the TGV Lyria links France and Switzerland, connecting Paris with Basel, Zurich, Bern, Lausanne, and Geneva, and also operates on various new routes from December 2012, which is a couple of years ago as well. So the most popular route that I can certainly recommend to your customers to do at some point would be from Paris to Zurich. So it's a direct service with first class and second class seating available, and is not only one of the most scenic journeys available, but the most convenient way to travel between France and Switzerland. So, but just speaking from prior experience on a reservations level, of course, the TGV Lyria, I would certainly recommend to try and book this at least 90 days in advance of the train departure date, because it is quite a high demand service where, tickets can sell out quite quickly, and pricing can, vary depending, on when you're booking it and how far in advance you're booking it from the actual train departure date as well. Okay, perfect. So let's continue on with the high-speed trains within Europe. So let's look at the ICE services. So ICE services primarily originate from Germany, but they also operate on an international level as well. So they operate between several major cities, including international destinations in Switzerland, Austria, Belgium, and the Netherlands too. So the ICE services, speaking from personal experience when I've traveled on the service, offers both first class and second class available on the train, and in my personal opinion is probably my favorite out of all of the high-speed services that Europe has to offer. Of course, Europe has some unparalleled trains, but the ICE services are pretty much the best because they have the most well-connected service with Wi-Fi available on board for first-class passengers, very modern, clean and comfortable seating available on the train, and probably the most punctual out of all of the European train services that we can recommend to book too. Booking horizon for German trains or the ICE services is 90 days in advance of the train departure date as well. So let's take a quick look now venturing into Spain. So Spain also has some very good high-speed services available. However, just bear in mind with the AVE services, which are primarily Spain trains, only has a 60-day booking horizon for the train. So they have a range of different classes of service available, ranging from Club, Preferente to Turista class. So Club being the highest class of service, and Turista being your second class lead-in option for the train too. Just bear in mind that AVE services are purely domestic trains, so it's not possible to connect, to do a direct service from, Spain into France on an AVE train. However, of course, there are some great connections where the AVE services work in participation with neighbouring countries to connect with TGV services as well too. So, okay, now looking at Italy. So Italy has the Freccia Rossa and Freccia Argento trains operated primarily by Trenitalia. So Frecciarossa trains run from north to south Italy and have extremely high speeds of up to about 360 kilometers an hour. So they're an extremely modern service where the interiors have been totally renovated with hugely modern design and new and exclusive technology, appliances and services to travel for business and pleasure with the utmost comfort too. So I might just correct this information here. So the booking horizon for this train service isn't actually 60 days. I might just rectify that information over here. However, booking horizon for Trenitalia services is actually 120. Oh, this is a terrible. This is supposed to represent the number 120. However, the booking horizon for Trenitalia is generally 120 days in advance of the train departure date, just to clarify there. Extremely high speed, and whenever you are booking, a point-to-point ticket for Trenitalia services, you will also have a seat reservation included in the fare, much like every other train I've already mentioned prior to this too. So within Italy, there are two different high-speed rail carriers which are operated by Trenitalia. However, another privatized rail company operating its high-speed services throughout Italy would be the NTV Italo service. So the Italo service works completely independently from Trenitalia. So they are two completely different companies, but also both have their high pros and cons between the two as well. So Trenitalia, my apologies, the Italo services are the newest high-speed rail service available in Europe. They only just launched their services back in 2011, which is very, very brand new in comparison to a lot of European rail services currently in operation in Europe as well. And the booking horizon for NTV Italo services is 90 days in advance of the train departure date. Considering that the train only just started launching its services back in 2011, you can expect extremely modern, seating available on board, very, very customer-focused service available from the staff who are trained in the Italo Hospitality School as well. And a lot of the classes of service on board the train include a complimentary services as a bare minimum too. So for example, the highest class of service available on the Italo trains would be Club Class, and then the lead-in class of service would be Smart Class. But Smart Class, being considered as second class on the Italo services, still includes complimentary Wi-Fi connection, which is kind of rare in comparison to other second class services available throughout Europe. But certainly, if you do have passengers who do wish to travel on Italo services or Frecciarossa services throughout Italy, you're certainly going to experience a very, very comfortable, modern, high-speed and punctual train journey as well. So let's focus now a little bit more on the regional day services. So regional day trains, there are some advantages of traveling by regional and local trains. To give you a background on what they are, they're not necessarily high-speed train services at all. However, they do run on long distances where high-speed trains don't run. So, of course, when you're traveling throughout Europe, you do have the time and enjoyment and leisure in order to enjoy the scenery around you. So why not travel on a regional service where they do run on the on areas that high-speed trains don't have access to? So local trains also run on short distances and they stop at smaller off the beaten track stations. So definitely worthwhile taking if your customers do have the time and also want to explore areas of Europe that aren't normally explored by the major high-speed rail services too. So some regional and various other day trains that we can book to would be so within France, which we were talking earlier about the high-speed TGV services. They do also operate intercity trains, which operate on slower speeds and generally offer and of course because most of these trains are a lot slower and offer a different sort of route as well. You can also enjoy quite competitive pricing for most of these services too. So other trains in Europe which would be considered as regional or other day trains would be in the UK, so ATOC tickets, and then in Germany, as opposed to the ICE high-speed services, you have your intercity, Eurocity, and then regional trains which access the smaller villages and the more romantic areas which are, far away from, a lot of the major cities and the hustle and bustle from that too. So taking a quick look now at the scenic trains. So scenic trains are definitely, when I was talking about the unique aspect of travel by train, scenic trains really define that as well. So some of the advantages of traveling by scenic train are you can, discover the heart of a country with some of its best scenery that not many other modes of transport can experience as well. And they do offer some really charming trains in perfect harmony with the environment that you're enjoying, out your window too. To maximize on the scenery around you, of course, a lot of these scenic trains offer panoramic coaches to feel as close as possible from the rushing waters, amazing glaciers, and the deep gorges as well. So definitely the scenic trains that we do book for your customers are certainly not just high-speed services that will get your passengers from point A to B. However, they will traverse through some of the most beautiful areas of various countries that you really couldn't have done without by car or even by plane, because when you're traveling by plane from point A to B, the scenery is the same. It's just simply clouds. However, when you're traveling by a scenic train, you can feel and see the country for yourself and see it in the most unique and relaxing way possible while you're traveling throughout that journey as well. So I'll just go through the various Swiss scenic trains that I would highly recommend for your customers to investigate, or for you to recommend to your customers. So Switzerland is, of course, well known for its beautiful scenery, landscape, and unparalleled lakes and glaciers that that really make the country as beautiful and as gorgeous as it is as well. So to enhance that, the Swiss railways are really on that. Oh, sorry, I'm just going to put, I might just pop whoever, sorry, we just had a little bit of noise interference there as well, but I've just put people on mute, so thanks so much for participating though. So within Switzerland, to maximize on the scenery and the landscape as well, they've offered a range of different, Swiss scenic journeys to complement the landscape that your passengers are traveling to. So I'll go through all of these one by one, but something that I'll certainly just really touch on very briefly are that if you have passengers who want to combine both rail travel and accommodation and hotels and things like that as well, certainly look into some of the Swiss packages that we offer too. So the Swiss packages that we do offer include rail travel, hotels, and breakfasts included too. So don't hesitate to get in touch with your friendly Rail Europe customer care consultants in order to help facilitate that. So just quickly looking at the, let me just click next. So one of the most popular train journeys that we book, or scenic train journeys that we book throughout Switzerland, would be the Glacier Express, which is seen as the longest, how do I put this? It's the slowest express train in the world. So the journey itself on the Glacier Express is between, let me zoom in a little bit here, from St. Moritz all the way through to Zermatt. So when you're traveling on the Glacier Express, the entire experience is something like 7.5 to 8 hours long of completely dramatic landscape with, alpine scenery, snow-capped mountains, and even deep, dense valleys as well. So it's definitely a train to dedicate a whole day to if you want to experience the most beautiful parts of Switzerland too. And as I mentioned before, they also do have panoramic carriages to have the best viewing available when you're traveling on the train too. The Golden Pass line is another really exciting Swiss scenic train for anyone to travel on. So this train I traveled on myself 2 years ago, and the landscape and scenery is just magnificent. So you get such a huge contrast in what you experience traveling from, mountaintops to deep valleys, and then also beautiful glacier-fed lakes that your camera is basically going to lose battery as you're shooting all of those photos as well. So definitely the Golden Pass line is a fantastic way to explore Switzerland too. Or if you want another, and like I said, I was talking about contrasting scenery, the Bernina Express travels between, probably is the most, when I say contrasting, is the most contrasting in the landscape that it offers in its entirety. So the Bernina Express travels from Swiss alpine ranges down to the Mediterranean views and sceneries of Italy as well. And I'll just show you quickly on the map where exactly its route operates. So the Bernina Express, I'm just going to show here, would be the tan line that I'm just pointing to with my cursor over here, which operates from Chur to St. Moritz to Tirano, and then combines both train service and bus service. So traveling from Tirano through to Lugano is actually operated by bus. So most of the dramatic Swiss, a quintessential Swiss landscape would be located, in the first initial part of the train journey. But then once arriving into Tirano and Lugano area, it's a completely different scenery and completely different temperature too when you're enjoying that Italian Mediterranean landscape too. And continuing on with the other Swiss journeys that we do offer as well would be the Gotthard Panorama Express. So this journey combines both train travel as well as boat travel. So the journey itself is a really unique way to explore Switzerland if you don't want to just travel by train, but also want to see Switzerland for its beautiful lakes and scenery as well. So I'll have a quickly show the night trains that we offer as well. So night trains are another really great way to explore Europe, and some of the advantages of traveling by night train would be to, number one, you can wake up right in the city center. Number two, you can also travel overnight and gain a whole day at a destination because you've already done your travel while you were resting as well. And you can also save on the cost of overnight accommodation when you're traveling on a night train too. One of the greatest benefits too is that when you arrive in your destination, you arrive rested and relaxed in the morning, and you're ready to explore the city after you've finished your travels on the night train too. So night trains also have a range of different types of sleepers available on the train, from reclining seats up to even luxury single sleepers, depending on the budget that your customers are looking at as well. And then because the journeys are, quite long too, of course, there is some excellent service available on these trains, such as dining cars, room service, and more. So now I'm just going to feature just a couple of different night trains that we do book. A very popular night train that we book between France and Italy would be the Thello night service. So they have a range of different types of, cabins available on board, such as sleeper cabins, couchettes, and more. So the way that night trains are configured is that they have, sleeper cabins, which have different types of, sleeper cabins available in that category. So you have your single sleepers, where you have one passenger, traveling in that sleeper, or a double sleeper and a triple sleeper. Couchettes are generally for the cost-conscious minded traveller, where you have 4 berths available or even 6 berths available within the compartment. And just to clarify, if you've never heard of what a couchette or a berth is basically if you can see in the picture just over here, so this is what a berth consists of. So this compartment here is actually a 6-berth sleeper, where you have 1, 2, 3 berths on one side and another 1, 2, 3 berths on the other side too. So definitely a really good way to travel by train, which is cost effective and very unique, and a really surprising way to travel throughout Europe if you are on either a tight schedule or in a budget, or if you want to experience it in a very unique way as well. So now I'll just take make a quick focus on the OBB Nightline services that we can offer to your customers too. So the OBB Nightline services operate from Austria and beyond. So I might just cross out this information because it's not actually called the City Nightline anymore, but it's called the OBB Nightline. However, they do travel on long distance and overnight connecting services with 8 different countries from Germany and beyond. So they operate from Prague to Zurich, Zurich to Zagreb, but the most popular ones that we would book the OBB night services on would be from Munich through to Rome and Venice. So it's certainly an international service to recommend to your customers if they wish to travel by train as well. So they have a range of different sleepers available on board, ranging from sleeper cabins, couchettes, or even reclining seats. There are also other night trains available, within Europe, such as the Lusitania train, and also various other services that we can recommend to your customers too. So I know that we are, leaning toward the end of the training session. I still just have to go through a couple of different things, such as products that you can recommend to book your customers in Euronet. So we've had a look at the different types of trains that we can recommend to your customers, but how do they actually travel on them is the next question. What type of tickets do we issue for them? So I can recommend for your passengers to take up a rail pass, which offers as much flexibility and has a lot of benefits as well attached to it. And the types of rail passes that we can offer to your customers would be a global pass, which where you can explore up to 28 different countries on that one ticket. However, just bear in mind that seat reservations and sleeper reservations will still be at an additional cost too. Or you can have a select pass. So select passes include, between 2, 3, and 4 different bordering countries of your choice to make your travel as as specific and as tailored as possible to what you want for your passengers too. We also have, one country passes where you can focus on one area of travel between 27 different popular countries as well. So certainly recommend a rail pass if your passengers are looking for flexibility, and often a rail pass is going to be the most competitive choice in terms of pricing for your passengers depending on what they are planning to do. I'll also focus very quickly on Swiss travel passes. So Swiss travel passes offer some fantastic benefits where you can not just travel on train services, but you can it's basically an all-in-one ticket where you can travel by train, bus, and boat as well. So it offers an unlimited access to the densest transportation network in the world by having different methods of transport available to be traveled on with that ticket as well. And there are a range of different Swiss products that we can recommend for your customers, such as express door-to-door luggage services, where you can transport your client's luggage from station to station or hotel to hotel, to make their travel as hands-free as possible, and they don't have to lug around their luggage while they are traveling on those services as well. Okay, and then of course we looked at rail passes and different inclusions of those, but of course another feature that we can also offer to your passengers would be point-to-point tickets. So your point-to-point tickets would be for any route from point A to B, and we categorize those as global fare tickets or open tickets. So just to really, summarize that, what a global fare ticket is that the reservation is included in the cost of the ticket. And of course, the fares will vary according to the departure dates and times, and it's often a lot cheaper when booking in advance. And this would include, trains like the Eurostar, the Thalys, the TGV services, and a majority of other trains that I've just focused on a little bit earlier as well. And then we also have our open tickets. So our open tickets mean that the price remains fixed, so it doesn't change. However, reservations aren't mandatory, and they actually don't come included with the ticket. You do have to purchase that as an extra cost separate from the open ticket. However, it's not mandatory except on some long distance and scenic trains as well. Of course, this rule does vary depending on the type of train you're traveling on, so certainly make sure that you check that before you are booking that for your customer, just to be safe as well. And of course, when in addition to our tickets and passes, I mentioned earlier to investigate the Swiss packages that we offer for your customers if they want to really experience Switzerland, but also want the ease and facility of not having to construct an itinerary. Our Swiss packages are unaccompanied, just to clarify. However, they are tailored tours of fantastic value to discover all of what Switzerland has to offer, with a inclusive, travel pass and hotel accommodations. Just bear in mind that seat reservations do need to be purchased and booked independently from this product. However, we'd still be more than happy to organize this for you prior to travel too. And we also offer our fjord tours. So these tours combine train, bus, and boat, such as the Norway in a nutshell, Sognefjord in a nutshell, and Hardangerfjord in a nutshell, where your passengers can journey through some fantastic mountains, amazing waterfalls, and beautiful locations. And certainly look into that if you do have passengers interested in traveling to Scandinavia as well. So just really quickly, there are a couple of different modes of printing our tickets. So you can either have them issued as paper tickets or as e-tickets. So just bear in mind, apologies, I forgot one, which was to print your tickets at the railway station. Of course, these different ticketing methods vary depending on, the type of ticket that you booked for your passenger, and the type of, and the carrier that you've booked for your passenger as well. Because some train operators will not offer, print at home option, but they may only offer paper ticket options. So just, something to consider when you are booking that in. However, we do have a range of very flexible ticketing options available, depending on what you're planning to book to. Now, last week we just had a very very exciting session, based on add-on products, and do let me know if you are interested in listening to the recording of that. But with Rail Europe, we don't just book, your train tickets, your packages, and all of your individual, reservations and rail passes. We do also have some additional add-on products to really round out your passengers' itineraries. So once they get to their various destinations, we can certainly recommend to take up something like a city pass to discover the best of each city while saving time and money, because a lot of these passes have the fast track option, which basically skips the line and offers the most flexible admission to various popular locations, which is often a lot more expensive to purchase if it's just done as a standalone ticket. So if you do want any more information on that, please don't hesitate to contact us, and we'd be more than happy to give some information on that. However, if you want the online training session recording of it for what we conducted last week, don't hesitate to get in touch with me directly, and I'd be more than happy to help you out with getting a copy of that too. And then finally, just to really finish off the session, another thing to consider is that we don't just offer European or UK train travel. An exciting feature that we do offer is that we've extended our product range to now offer train tickets in Japan as well. So just bear in mind that within Japan, we don't offer point-to-point tickets. However, we do have, Japan Rail Passes, which are the easiest way and best value for money to discover Japan. So the most popular product I would, recommend would be the Japan Rail Pass, which covers, almost complete travel throughout the Japan Rail network too. And if you do wish to have a recording of that session, we do have previous training sessions where we focused on this product, but certainly traveling throughout train in Japan is one of the most necessary things to do if you are traveling in Japan, and also the most cost-effective way to explore some of the fastest trains throughout the world as well. So just to sum up and to finish off the session, we looked at, a little background on who we are as a company with Rail Europe, and then also, the different reasons why it's so great to travel by train, and even an individual look at all of the different trains that we can book. Now, this training session was, of course, we only have an hour to talk about everything that we do, but everything that I spoke about in our training session isn't the only thing that we're limited to. We have such a huge range of products and such a huge and wide access to everything that we do. So chances are, if you do have passengers who are interested in doing a certain rail journey, don't hesitate to get in touch with us, and we can certainly offer to book that in for you or investigate how it can be done, of course. So I guess to sum up, I'd just like to say thank you to those who consistently come to the training sessions, and of course the new names that I've just noticed in our attendee list. So welcome, and I hope to see you again. However, that does end the training session. I will, of course, go through the question and answer session now. So if you do wish to, stay for that, that also is going to be on the recording as well. But for those who joined us and are leaving now, thank you so much once again, and I will see you again next week. Thank you so much. Okay, question and answer time from everyone. So I've got a couple of healthy questions in the chat box. Vanessa, good to see you again. Hello. So I'm just going to read out the various questions that some of the attendees did ask. Even though they were sent to me privately, I will go through them, with the group, just in case it's the same question that somebody else is, wondering as well. So something that somebody had asked is that which trains have complimentary meals for first class? Eurostar only, or are there others too? As far as I know, ICEs don't, so which trains do? Is this information all on Extranet? That's a really, really good question, and it's a question that I certainly get quite a lot when I am training the different inclusions of these trains. So with the various inclusions of, complimentary meals, off the top of my head, the ones that I can certainly say do include complimentary meals would be, Standard Premier and Business Premier on the Eurostar. Thalys, but when you're traveling in comfort class, in first class, because be mindful that with Thalys services, even though you're traveling in first class, it depends on the type of ticket that you've purchased as well. I know that the TGV Lyria, when you're traveling on business class in the TGV Lyria, your meal is going to be included. And at this stage, those are the only three that come to the top of my head, but there are certainly many more that will have a complimentary meal included. But of course, if ever you're unsure of whether or not your train that you've booked for your customer does have a meal included in first class, I would check the specific product page for that on Extranet. So for those who may not be as familiar with Extranet, I'll just quickly go to show you where people might find that information. Bear with me. These are very good questions. I'm really enjoying this. So 1 second. So Extranet has individual product fact sheets for every single train that we do book throughout Euronet. So say, for example, I'm booking my passenger from Rome to Florence, and I've booked them on a Frecciarossa train. What I would do is I would go to day trains domestic, and then I would click on the Frecciarossa product fact sheet, and I would check the onboard services section just to see what inclusions are available for the type of fare that you have booked for them too. So definitely use Extranet as the main source of information if you're unsure of what is included with your customer's fare as well. So I hope that answers your question. And but yeah, if you have any further questions, don't hesitate to email the online training email where you got the initial invite as well. Okay, so another question, does the buffet bar in the Eurostar for standard class passengers provide complimentary food for passengers, or must passengers pay for their food? Yes, so anything that's on the buffet bar on the Eurostar, so I'm guessing you're referring to the onboard cafe car, everything there is at an additional cost. So even if I'm traveling in standard premier class, which is considered as first class, I get my complimentary meal served to me at my seat. But if I want anything more than what I'm already given in that complimentary meal and I want to buy that at the buffet cafe car, then of course I have to purchase that as an extra cost as well. And for passengers traveling in standard class, of course, no meals are included with their ticket, so they do just have to make sure that they're purchasing their food on board the train at the cafe car. But just a little bit of a fact, in case you've never traveled by train in Europe, you're more than welcome to bring food from outside the train onto the train. If anything, the staff, certainly don't have any problem with that at all. I know for me, when I was traveling throughout Europe, I purchased food at the local grocery store, in London, because I knew that I would get hungry even though I got my meal included anyway, and I brought that as an extra snack to have as well. So that's no problem. Okay, so now Vanessa, you mentioned that you had problems about booking pass holder seats on the TGV Lyria. I'm not too sure if, feel free to unmute your microphone if you wish to detail that a little bit more, but I know that with the TGV Lyria services, I don't know if you're trying to book business Premier pass holder fares, because pass holder fares on business Premier on the Lyria are not available. You can only book normal point-to-point tickets on that service. However, if you're still having problems with trying to book pass holder fares for first class or second class, feel free to email through the details to onlinetraining@raileurope.com, and we can investigate that further. However, I certainly booked a couple of pass holder fares on the TGV Lyria, and I haven't had any issues for anything that's within booking horizon for those applicable classes. But give that a go. Otherwise, yeah, get in touch with us or open up a case to investigate that further too. Okay, so next question, does the night train from Salzburg to Milan provide a toilet and a shower in each cabin? So the train from Salzburg to Milan would be considered as your OBB night train, and I'll just bring up the little slide on where we were focusing on that. That's a very good question, because we do get that question a lot on what inclusions and features are available on board the night trains as well. Now let me just go back to the OBB night trains. Okay, so with the OBB night trains, say for example, if you're traveling from Salzburg to Milan, it depends on what compartment you're staying in as well. So if you're staying in a sleeper cabin category, if you're in a single, double, or triple, then you do have your own, own washing facilities and toilets in each coach. However, just bear in mind there are no showers available on the regular sleeper cabins. If you want to upgrade to a deluxe cabin, you'll have your own ensuite shower and toilet. So the only time you'll get your own private shower and toilet facilities is if you're traveling in deluxe services. So just bear that in mind too. Okay, what else? And I think that there was one more question. Oh, yep, perfect. Vanessa, I'll reach out to you directly if you do want a recording for the last 2 sessions, so your add-on products and the focus on Italy. I'll email that directly through to you, and yeah, and then we'll go from there as well. And if anyone else wants a recording, a copy of any of the other recordings, of course, please feel free to email onlinetraining@raileurope.com for your special request of what you require, and yeah, we'll send through the recordings through to you as well and the links. Perfect. Now, Sunil, I'm not too sure what you mean. I'm not too sure what you mean by what the full form of SAS is. If you could clarify that a little bit for me, that would be fantastic. Otherwise, if you want to clarify that in a little bit more of a detailed message, email it through to onlinetraining@raileurope.com, and I'll answer your question in full in writing as well, so we can clarify that. Okay, perfect. So that ends our question and answer session for our general product training. We had quite a few join in today, so thank you so much to those who joined. And next week, we'll rejoin again for next week's online training session. I hope that everyone learned a little bit more about trains today, and we'll see you next week. And the recording for this session will be available as well too. So don't hesitate to get in touch with us if you have any more questions in relation to Rail Europe, trains, anything you like. But I will see you all again next week. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.